Hi, my name is Anastasiia Martynenko and I'm an environmental activist. My journey into the world of climate began not so long ago. Like most people, for me, the words global warming, climate change and greenhouse gases sounded quite complex, but surely they meant something important. Everything changed when exactly 2 years ago, in October 2018, I came across an article about Greta Thunberg, at that time a 15-year-old girl protesting under the walls of the Swedish parliament instead of going to school. Greta's interest in climate change came at the age of 9, when everyone around her said that she should turn off the light, save water and not throw any food. She thought it was weird. If people really can influence the climate change, then why does no one do anything? I have felt exactly the same in my childhood. I didn't understand why the environmental problems were not being solved. This need of mine is called justice, a very controversial concept, but it is a driving force for many activists, including climate warriors. One of the things that prompted me to take action was report Water is Close by NGO Eco Action. On the map of Ukraine, the projections show the territories of Ukraine that will be flooded by 2050. I saw my native city, Berdyansk. Over there, I found out that the 20-kilometer speed I used to walk about when I was a child will simply disappear under the water in less than 30 years. Then the beginning of 2019, there was our first Fridays for Future climate strike that were organized in Stuttgart, Germany. And a month later in Kyiv, and that's when I met with the amazing climate community in Ukraine. In summer, our NGO young members met with Greta Thunberg, the one on the left. Since then, my personal interest has been to explore and communicate the links between climate change and waste to the people. Did you know that even during the extraction of oil and gas for the manufacture of plastics, greenhouse gas emissions are already occurring? Add to this transportation, distillation, production, packaging, consumption, and disposal, and even at the stage when waste is in the environment, it continues to accelerate climate change and its effects. For example, if you burn it, then you get the highest amount of greenhouse gas emissions. But if it stays in the environment, it still produces greenhouse gases, because everything on this earth is connected. Here's an example of indirect emissions that blew my mind. Growing levels of microplastics in the oceans reduces zooplankton's ability to reproduce and phytoplankton's ability to absorb CO2 through photosynthesis. And the oceans absorb 25% of anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So pollution by microplastics may put this biological carbon pump at risk. You see how connected everything is? By now you have heard probably a lot about the consequences that await us as inhabitants of this cozy planet, from reduced yields, hunger, shortages of drinking water, and to an increase of the frequency of extreme weather events. When I hear these prognoses, I barely feel enthusiastic. These predictions are usually followed by a logical question. So how to stop climate change? First of all, we should understand that the threat is absolutely real. And this is neither a threat to the planet nor to the ecology. The planet will continue to exist without people, maybe even better. As for the ecology, it is a science. It also does not require our protection. Now the fate of humanity as a whole, and specifically each of us, including you and me, is really being decided. Secondly, it should be understood that the consequences will not be sometime in the distant future. Where our grandchildren will live. We can see the results right now. It has already been proven that the climate change cannot be stopped completely. Greenhouse gas emissions from human activities will remain in the atmosphere for hundreds of years, warming the globe even without new emissions. However, climate change can be slowed down significantly enough so that the harmful effects on humans and the environment are not fatal. Simply saying, so that I and you can still enjoy our ice cream on the safe planet. And the third, climate change mitigation should cover all areas of society. Government, municipalities, businesses, schools and citizens, all of us. We are all on the same boat, and we have only got one boat. As you know, some regions and countries will not be so lucky, especially island states and those where the resources necessary for life, such as drinking water, will disappear first. However, the fact that it will be harder for some regions does not mean that it will be easy for us here in Ukraine. If we do nothing, our giant boat will sink to the bottom very quickly. Instead, together, we have a chance to save it. There's 3 levels where you can act: on the personal, group, and society levels. On the personal level, what you can do is you can eat organic food, you can choose local seasonal food, you can reduce your meat consumption, and you can grow your own food. You can also travel light, use public transportation or cycle. You can buy natural, second-hand, or fair labor products. You can also use practices of zero waste, like 5R: refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot, which means composting your organic leftovers. You can use less electricity, water, and other resources. You don't have to be a perfect consumer. A lot of us just need to be a little better. And you can learn more, which is my favorite. Be curious about what's happening around you and what the connections are. Find it out and do something about it. It's a kind of magic how individual changes can cause collective changes, which in its turn is causing a system change. Of course, one smaller carbon footprint won't fix climate change completely, but taking individual action can help force the entities that have power to fix it. Next level where you can act is a group level. What you can do is support NGOs, share, donate, or volunteer for them. You can initiate changes in your family, house, or office. You can call businesses to change. You can show that you do care. You can inform others about solutions. Concerning this last one, just knowing the facts and understanding climate change is not enough. It does not inspire for actions. For decades, scientists have been doing this and not much has changed in people's behavior. As a result, we are in the situation of emergency right now. It means that we have to change our tactics from just informing to informing and support with clear instruments and possibilities for action. If you have kids or you're a teacher, don't ignore this subject. They see that something is happening. You can help them to understand their role. But please don't use this Klimagedon style of communication, where fear is a dominating message that you send to people. Although it may motivate some of them, it may also have a negative impact, causing anxiety and disregard. If together with consequences of climate change, you present solutions, the people around you will less likely close and more likely engage into the subject and will want to act. Here, the key word would be hope. You have to pass the message where this feeling is supported. Hope is a key to actions. And what you can do on society level is you can write and sign petitions. You can organize or join existing climate strikes. You can share only true information, invest in sustainable businesses, vote for those who care. You can go to public service your own. You can create your own NGO or vote and run for public budget. What I've heard quite often since my childhood was one person can't change anything. That my action does not really make difference. But I was too stubborn to accept that. That's why I'm standing here right now. We're often told that changes should happen from above, and I'm not talking about heaven right now. But let's come back to this girl who was stubborn enough too. Just 1 year after her individual actions, 4 million of people have believed that there is a hope. So remember, every single change that we see in the world has been once started by one person.